Hey, welcome to Squares of the Roundtable, the wonderful podcast that is. I am Jeff Stein, and with me is Mike Boyle. Here's the real question. Ivan.
Oh.
Ivan?
Where'd he go?
I don't know where he is. It was funny. Before we went on air, we were just joking about that. We may need to start having a guest Ivan.
Yeah, an emergency Ivan.
The emergency Ivan. Break glass for emergency Ivan. When we used to do the show back in the day on WEF, when we used to do the AM Mayhem show, there were times when Ivan had stuff to do or something would happen. So
or he'd just be late.
Yeah. We had to bring out the Ivatron 2000, in which we had like certain things that Ivan had said, and we'd break it out just because that way we'd have Ivan.
And I'd washed it through the echo machine.
Yeah.
So you made it sound somewhat electronic.
Right, on purpose. Yeah. And it's funny, we've talked about bringing back the Ivatron, but we really had it. We really were like, I don't know how our wonderful pocket lint and shoestring budget, that wasn't probably going to happen. So it's funny. We really should consider once in a while the guest Ivan or the guest Jeff or the guest Mike. We could do that. I hope you're having a great week. And Ivan, wherever you are, I hope everything's going well. I guess so. Mike, what's been going on this week? What stuff have you been into? What have you been looking at? What's been going on?
Well, I've had a good week.
Don't die.
No, I didn't. No, I just a little cough. That's fine.
Yeah.
So I had a little sip of water here. Made sure it wouldn't go down the wrong pipe.
You mean you're not going to eat chicken like Ivan does in the middle of the
No, I'm not going to eat during the podcast.
Or flush?
Ivan, what do you eat? Oh, flush the toilet. No.
Ivan's going to be mad. He's going to be like, you're not supposed to give all this stuff away. Ivan, I can hear you.
Ivan's not listening, is he? If you are, hi, Ivan.
Hi, Ivan.
We miss you.
We do.
I had a good week. Got rid of the old TV stand, but the old TV, I have to wait until like the third week of April to get it properly recycled. So it's just sitting here in the middle of the room, just homeless. I'm just enjoying my new TV. It's nice, looks good. I gave a friend of mine my Blu-ray player because I'm gonna get a 4K player.
Ooh.
And he's like, "Oh, good, I can borrow your Blu-rays. I want to borrow Black Panther." I'm like, "No, it's on my list. I'm watching it in 2 weeks." So
yeah, really, reality.
Yeah.
You missed out on an opportunity. You really could have. We could have had like the Squares of the Round Table watch party with Mike.
Huh.
We could have done that.
Sort of like how Shia LaBeouf binge watched all his movies in a theater by himself,
really?
and he taped his own facial reactions to scenes and stuff. He did that a couple of years ago.
Did you see where apparently there's somebody who's doing where I think I showed you where there's somebody who's willing to pay money for people to do what you're doing, except they got to do it by a certain point.
Oof. Yeah, that'd be rough.
The only thing was I thought the money was too cheap. I was like $1,000
to watch 20 movies. That's
Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
That's 400 hours.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, you posted the article to the Squares Facebook page.
Is it on the Squares page?
Yeah.
All right, hold on, let me go find it.
I get it.
But yeah, I mean, the funny part is there's some college kid or some broke teenager going, dude, totally, absolutely, I'm right there, I'm all in.
Yeah, I've got the article here.
Is it? Do you? Okay.
Yeah, it's from Newsarama. It says, get paid to watch the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe before Avengers Endgame. Really?
Really, yeah.
CableTV.com has posted an ad seeking one fan with Hulk-like strength and Captain America-like endurance to watch and live tweet the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe leading up to the release of Avengers Endgame. According to the posting, the ideal candidate has a strong social media presence and can independently tweet their takeaways from the film. In compensation, the poster will receive $1,000 in a Marvel prize package with tons of memorabilia and swag. But it says entries can be sent through CableTV.com website through April 15th. So within 10 days, you have to watch 20 movies.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well,
I'm trying to take off work.
I know. That's why when I saw the number, I was like, all right, how much are they going to give me? $1,000. Yeah, it's not enough. But there's some, some college kid sitting around going, $1,000? Oh, I'm in!
You skip a week's worth of classes, and sure.
Yeah, or something like that, yeah.
Anyway.
Exactly.
Well, I initially, because it was quite daunting, actually. I got my stack of DVDs. I'll get into my Marvel watch here in a little bit. But let me tell you, I think only once I did 2 movies back to back. I'm doing one a night and 2 nights a week. So it's not burning the midnight oil or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy the pace that I'm going at, and it's an amazing journey. Sometimes I'll pause the movie, take little notes,
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get into my Marvel watch here in a little bit. But yeah, I gave a Blu-ray player to my friend. I was like, yeah, now you can borrow my Blu-rays. Oh, can I borrow this one? No. So
nice.
But yeah, what else? Oh, I got Spider-Verse. I haven't watched it yet. It's on the short list. I'll get it this week. And Aquaman comes out this week, actually, too.
Does it? Okay.
But next week, actually, this week is payday, so I'm going to buy me a 4K player. So my first 4K movie will be Bumblebee next week.
Okay.
Yay.
I'm
stepping up to 4. I'm not about to upgrade. I'm not going to swap out my Blu-rays for 4K discs. No way.
No.
But,
no, that doesn't make any sense.
But now I can start buying 4K discs now.
Yeah.
That's nice. What else? Got the Studio Series Optimus Prime, and it's nice. It's fine. I like the designs.
Is that a doll?
No,
it's not. An action figure?
It's an action figure.
Sorry.
It's not a doll. Well, technically, yes, it is a doll. Well, dolls, what constitutes a doll? Does a doll have to have, hair, like a Barbie? Or is a doll just, an action figure, just like a little piece of plastic that just has moving parts?
It depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah, exactly.
Like my dad, he'd have called it a doll.
Yeah, he'd call it a doll. Right.
He'd be like, it's a doll.
No.
I think...
If it has a human likeness, then it's just a toy robot. It's not a doll.
Yeah, it's not real. Well, yeah, the Optimus Prime is more like a robot. My dad would...
So he'd be like a robot toy. He'd just call it a toy robot.
Like a robot.
But it's based on the likeness of G1 looking Prime from Bumblebee, and it's a fine figure. It's fine. So, but most of the Studio Series I've been passing on that. So even actually, but oh well, it was good. But I've had a good week. It's been fine. So I'm just enjoying the slightly warmer weather and looking forward to even more warmer weather.
Yeah, I would like some more warmer weather, please.
Yeah.
Supposedly spring is here. I have not seen spring yet.
Yeah, it is. It's past that one day on the calendar, but we ain't seeing that thing yet.
Yeah. I'm thinking calendar needs to be adjusted. It's no longer spring on. Especially when they're talking about, and that one baseball game's coming in town where it's going to be like, where it's going to be like, okay, we need to, there's snowballs and all kinds of stuff. And my dad took me one time to opening day at Wrigley when I was a kid, and it was a snow day, and there were some unintended consequences. For example, if you're sitting in the upper deck behind, and this is the reason why they had that screen after a while, is because, or maybe this is one of the reasons they had that screen, which is if the people in that upper deck did not like the ball strike call, they let the umpire know. By hitting him in the back of the head, there's a snowball.
Yeah.
Not cool, but funny so far.
Yeah, when is it opening weekend this weekend?
Now, is it? Wow. Yeah, I think it is. Holy crap. Yes, it is. Wow.
So I was flipping through the channels yesterday, and the Cubs beat the crap out of San Diego.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So yay. But it's still preseason.
Yeah. Hey, before we get into anything I did this week, we have 2 important Avengers Endgame updates. 2 important ones. This one is a spoiler from the Russo brothers. They've said, quote, just to be clear, Ant-Man will not crawl into Thanos' asshole and then expand.
Would make for a short movie.
Yes.
It'd be fun, just for
yes.
Wouldn't it be a shit kicker? I mean, if the sale is
literally
complete, what if Deadpool makes a cameo?
Yeah, it's not happening. I wish it was. That'd be great. I mean, it'd be really cool if out of the Blue Wolverine showed up. Like, Hugh Jackman be like, ha, see, I was here the whole time.
Just like a 5-second cameo of Deadpool.
Yeah. I mean, there have been some people talking about can they have like a cutaway where he shows up at the end now out of the blue. I think it's unfortunately if this had cleared a few more hurdles sooner, some of that might have been possible. But right now, no way.
Oh, I think that they want to keep it like more. This is obviously going to be super serial, as Al Gore would say. So.
Yeah, well, I think the other thing is too is they I think that they have something in mind and they have a direction and we'll see. I mean, I've read something where so far the only thing they've confirmed that's staying as is where they're not totally going to reboot it is Deadpool. So everything else sounds like the door is open to a total reboot. So the other thing is they officially announced a runtime.
Yeah, the running time is locked.
3 hours and 2 minutes. They better have that intermission.
Oh, that means
they better have it.
It's tradition for me to get like a drink and nachos to patronize the theater, but now I'm not doing it.
It was hard as it was the last time when you're like, oh no, gotta hold it. Like the last 15 minutes, I was like, oh man, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you need an intermission. Or you're going to have to strategically figure out at some point in the movie a time to leave, go take your pee, and come back. And the funny part is it's one thing if you just go, maybe the strategy is not to drink the soda, but really even in reality, most people have to go sometime within the 3 hours.
I looked it up. Endgame Infinity War was 2 hours and 36 minutes.
Right, yeah, and I was sitting and of course you gotta sit through the credits because then you're like, oh god, will I have enough time to sit through the credits, the middle credit, and the end, to get back to the end credit on time and be okay? And you're like, I don't know.
True, you can, if you do, you can try and cheat that, like when the credits start rolling, and you know, because... But anyway, yeah.
I will admit my strategy of late has been near the back end of the trailers, go to the bathroom.
That's a good strategy.
Because
how many we had like 7 trailers before Captain Marvel.
Yeah, we had 1 million trailers.
It was 20. I clocked it at 22 minutes.
Right. If you're in, depending on what theater you're in, you have time. You have time to basically, unless there's something you really think you're going to see a trailer for that you really want to see.
Yeah.
But
any trailer that's up on that screen is available on the internet.
Yeah, it's a different animal these days because it's like it used to be okay. You're going to the movie theater and it's a scenario where it's like okay, I might see something that I might not be aware of. Now, anything that you really were looking forward to, exactly, you're 100% right. It's already out there and available unless you weren't looking for it or didn't realize it was out there.
Now, in all seriousness, was that an official tweet from the Russo brothers about Ant-Man?
It could be.
Was that legit?
It could be fake now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah. It might be kind of a fake.
Yeah, it could be. I still think they would respond to that one and go, yeah, not happening. Yeah. I feel confident in that.
Yeah, exactly. Because I put up the one meme where it's the poll.
Yeah.
And it's then there's Palpatine saying, I love democracy. So.
Yeah.
So, C2E2 was last weekend, and neither of us went. I'm just looking at pictures of cosplays and stuff. So it seemed like everybody had a good time.
Yeah, I had stuff over the weekend where I was hanging out with friends or doing certain things. But at the last minute, I did have the option to get freebie passes, and I was just like, I can't swing it. And I hate to say it, I'm a little cash strapped at the moment, so going to the con when you don't have money is kind of a bore.
Unless you're meeting with friends.
Well, yeah, exactly. But after a while, it becomes. I don't know. I've said this before. Maybe I'm a bigger guy. Maybe that's part of it. But it's like, okay, you go to the panels, and everybody's crammed in like a sardine. Okay, to see the panels. And sometimes you have to get there early to get into a line to get a seat to get in to see the panel.
Or you don't get in.
Right, or you don't get in. Chicago's usually better than that, but you get the point. And as it is, I mean, the chairs are on top, one on top of the other, and it's just like, what is this, a cattle call? And then the other thing is, like I said, it's okay. There's really no place to sit. I mean, there really isn't. It's not like you can sit around and hang out. It's pretty much you're kind of walking around. You're kind of walking around the floor, and what the floor is mostly comic book dealers and
vendors, yeah,
and vendors and artists and all that kind of stuff, and that's great. I love it. But when it's kind of like window shopping, and you're like, I'd really like to buy this, or I'd like to buy that, and you're just looking at your, you're looking at your bill, your counts, and you're like, I can't swing that. That's insane. I'd like to do it, but I can't.
Yeah, I'll be doing the same thing. Well, in 2 weeks is Dairy Con up in Fond du Lac, and then the following weekend is Celebration. So I will be going that Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
The following weekend after that. So what's 3 weeks from now? We'll talk about that.
Something like that. Yeah.
So, I've never been to a Celebration. Of course, I've been to the McCormick Place. The thing is, I'm thinking about maybe it'd be easier if I just take the train.
Could be.
Then we don't have to drive, because I'm up in McHenry County, so I'd have to take the train down to Ogilvie, and then at that point get some kind of cab or something over that way. Anyway, so I'm figuring out logistics for Celebration.
Yeah, the trick is, the thing is, even if you're taking the train, you still have to get over there.
Yeah, from Ogilvie all the way down to...
Yeah, you still got to get all the way down there.
McCormick Place, which is south of the Loop.
I mean, it will be less expensive. The only thing is it's probably going to take more time.
Yeah, so I'd have to leave.
Especially getting up and back. And that's the unfortunate part, is that's where it's frustrating, is it's like, okay. Because, like, when I went for the Toastmasters convention, okay, I didn't really want to drive down there, but at the same time, I was like, well, I kind of need to, I might need a car, I may not need a car, I don't know. What if I want to leave when I feel like, that kind of thing? And the only good news was, somehow they ended up not charging me for 3 days worth of parking, which saved my ass.
Nice.
Because it was like $35 a night to park.
Wow. And
that was you self-park in and out on your own. Okay. And I had a few small issues with the hotel, nothing major, but some things where I was a little annoyed. And the person who was behind the desk was like, you know what? Let's just call it $35. And I was like, you know what? That's awesome. Because I honestly was going to review you and kind of be a little annoyed. I said, and guess what? That's not happening now. So that's the one thing about that location is there are buses that go there, but you're still going to have to get there. I mean, I don't know. It's a matter of cost versus convenience. But that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate part. Yeah, it would have been, and unfortunately, Donnelly Stevens is too small
It's way too small for
Way
Starboard.
too small for that. Way too small. You can't do that. Even with C2E2, it's too small. It's too small. You can't do it.
And C2E2 is far too encompassing, and it's not just comic books. It's anime. It's pop culture. All the popular TV shows.
Right, and they did I guess they did a Clueless reunion this past weekend too. So
yeah, Alicia Silverstone was there. I did see some of her tweets when you type in to search on Twitter. Yeah, I'm learning how to Twitter. Never really had to. It's mainly Facebook, but I'm learning to Twitter because I'm using it to promote this show. So I'm doing that. So I'm doing a search like C2E2 and see what comes up, and a lot of the Alicia Silverstone's tweets were coming up. Goes in that Clueless reunion. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah,
I caught that there was a lot of major publications, not the usual comic book publications that kind of mentioned that. But I know some people who were out that way. It looked like they had a good time. It looked like things were pretty cool.
Yeah.
I guess the guy who plays Superman for the CW, that Tyler Hoechlin was there, and honestly. Like I said, I really kind of hope they bring in a Superman show because he's really good and I like him, and I think it would be cool to have it. But we'll see. We'll see where all this goes. Like we said before, there's been some talk of some crazy things that they're going to do after this Crisis on Infinite Earths thing. But we'll see.
Well, CW seems to have their shit together, so.
Yeah, for the most part. But yeah. My week. Where was it?
Yeah.
So I think probably the biggest. So I know everybody talks about March Madness, and normally that's college basketball. For me, as I'm a member of Toastmasters International, I shouldn't say regularly. I usually compete in what's known as the World Championship of Public Speaking, and it happens once a year, and it's 100. I think the Toastmasters in 135 countries right now, maybe more, maybe 140 or something. And there's usually about 30,000 or more who compete in this contest every year. And so Thursday night was area, was essentially the second round, and I qualified through that, and I won. And I'm competing this coming Sunday. Up in Gurney at one of the libraries up there. I'd have to double check which one it is. I believe it's a 3:15 start time. And if I do that, I'll be competing for what would be essentially the championship for most of the north side of Chicago and northern Chicago, Chicagoland. So we'll see. You know, I'll be honest, I've never gotten that far. I do like what I've got, but we'll see where that goes. And again, that's this coming weekend. And if you're friends with me on Facebook, then you're aware of it. But, so that's been a little bit encompassing. I did watch the end of, Love, Death and Robots, and the last, you know how sometimes in an anthology series, you should still put the last one as the best one so you don't have the bad taste?
Well, these are meant because I've been told, well, first of all, I've been told it's Love, Death, plus Robots.
Yeah.
Some people just say it's but the plus sign is significant. But I'm told they're all individual stories, so it doesn't matter. You can watch them in any order. You
can watch them in any order, but that's not usually how you binge stuff. So, so the last one, I kind of wish that we hadn't watched it last, because it was one of those where it was like, really, that's your last episode? It's kind of like having a piece of fruit that at first tastes good, and then later you're like, oh no, that wasn't really as good, or it had an aftertaste or something. So there was that. Ironically, watched Infinity War again over the weekend.
There you go.
And caught that again. Was watching a little bit.
I caught a bit of Deadpool too. It was running out ad nauseum on HBO. So.
Yeah, I'm out of my HBO time. And the funny part is I was trying to look for freebie deals, and everybody's like, You're not getting one of those now. Game of Thrones is coming, and I'm like, I don't care about Game of Thrones. I just want to watch other stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, good luck with that. I'm like, But yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of been my week last week, and this week's going to kind of be a little bit about that, and obviously figuring out taxes. But,
Oh yeah, and I have I think since like 2 weeks ago or last week. Oh, excuse me. A friend of mine, we've been watching more of Star Trek Discovery, and it's not been bad. It's a little slow-going story, but it's fine. Oh, and the Orville. Holy crap, the Orville's been good lately.
Has it really?
Yeah. It's really good sci-fi trips. Like I said, it's pretty much Seth MacFarlane's answer to Star Trek The Next Generation.
Yeah.
But it's still, I think it's still pretty decent writing. It's good sci-fi for television, and it's free. So I don't feel so bad.
Yeah, there's that.
So.
There's that.
It's good free TV, and it's good for a couple of laughs.
I just wonder how much it costs that audience for the people who might have watched it for what it is if they had just advertised it as what it is. Which is, yeah, this is basically a lighter-hearted version of Seth MacFarlane if he decided to write a Star Trek. And except it's not nearly as slapstick or ha-ha funny. I mean, there is some funny, but not like what you would expect it to be. So, yeah, I just wonder if that, it seems as though there's enough people who are watching it and seem to be okay with it. I think that's just always been the part that's kind of, is the reason I haven't watched it, is I'm like, well, you know, there's other things I can watch. But I hear good things. I don't know. I don't know. You're saying Discovery's good because I've heard mixed reaction.
It's fine. It's not blown me away, but it's fine. I'm not doing cartwheels over it. But it's Star Trek, and in the truest sense, it's still Star Trek. They've changed some stuff, and there's some new aliens, obviously. And this crazy story going on with Michael and her stepbrother Spock, and it's that's all I can say. I'm watching it. I'm not hating it.
Mm-hmm.
But as a whole for television, I think I'm enjoying the Orville better. Maybe it's just because Discovery is trying to be a bit too serious. And yeah, they have, it's got a couple of lighthearted moments, but it's not terrible, but it's not blown me away. But right now, given the choice between the two, I'd probably just watch an hour of Orville. And the thing is, I don't know what it is with Fox, but their commercial breaks are only a minute and a half. There's a bunch of them. It seems like there's a lot of commercial breaks, but they're only really short ones. So I can run to the fridge and get a snack, and then by the time, it's back on already. Wow.
I know NBC NBC has a thing that they do where they'll be like, we'll be right back in 1 minute. And they tell you it's going to be a 1 minute commercial break.
Yeah. I think Fox is doing that too with the Orville.
It was funny after the changeover, Fox did a promo that I caught during Empire, where they talked about the new Fox Corp, and they had a whole bunch of this is our programs and this is this, and it was a longer promo, and it was interesting because they have rights to the WWE right now, but not until the fall. But they did include it in their promo, which I thought was interesting. I like I said, it's going to be interesting to see where this all goes with some of these changes and whatnot. I do feel, there's certain parts of this whole deal that I like, Mike, but there's parts of it where it's I heard there's 4,000 people losing their jobs. Yeah,
that was the day after the merger was complete last week. Then there was this other headlines I'm seeing layoffs. I'm like, whoa, what?
Yeah, that's been the talk, and then they were talking about. I guess they're talking about closing what would be known as Fox. It's either Fox 2000 or Fox Searchlight, which is kind of like the medium level movies, stuff that wouldn't be your major tent poles, but would be sustainable and profitable. I'm trying to remember what movies that would be. I'm kind of doing a quick look up just to see.
So, but yeah, low to mid-level management at Fox, it seems like, is just like everyone's on pins and needles.
Yeah, it's Fox 2000 is what they're ending. That's the label that Disney is retiring. And just to give perspective, and it takes a second to load, things like Life of Pi, Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Was that like an animated series?
Diary of a Wimpy Kid? No, it's based on the book, I believe. I think.
Yeah, it's a book. Obviously, it's a popular book, but
Fault in Our Stars. So, I mean, stuff that would be decent fare, but not. I think Love, Simon might have been one of theirs. But you kind of get the idea. The kind of stuff that you take risks on, that you put some seed money towards, and that's unfortunate. But we'll see. I'm curious to see. We still haven't seen exactly what's going on, and the other thing that's interesting is really Fox TV. Well, I shouldn't say Fox TV, but Fox in terms of their media arm has been somewhat silent about certain things, other than talk about a couple of shows that they're going to add for Disney Plus. But everything seems like it's waiting until after Endgame. So I don't know. But yeah, it's unfortunate. It's too bad. As long as we're talking about Marvel for a second, thoughts. So what did you watch this week?
Okay, yeah, we'll get into my Marvel watch. Let me get my notes. The two I watched this week. So now I'm past the halfway point. I'm past the. I'm in like this is like not final lap yet, but I'm still. It's past like Thor 3. Thor 2, Iron Man 3. So I was like, yeah, these are all good. These are awesome. So this week, or last week that is, I watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Spoiler alert, Groot pushes the right button.
Yeah.
That scene was done to death. Like, the trailers leading up to this film, I was like, we get it. Groot is a baby, and Rocket doesn't want him to push the button. When that scene came up, I was like, oh, it's this scene with the button. Okay, let's get through this. It's like you're in the trailer so much, you're just kind of tired to it. But, oh well. But this one here, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, is my favorite MCU film. Yes. I was just meh to Guardians 1 when I first, actually, I don't remember seeing it in the theater. You know why? It was 2014, and I was watching several other movies. I think Man of Steel, was in theaters in 2014.
Could have been.
2013.
We got stuff for that too.
But anyway,
yeah.
So, but this is my favorite. Zardu Hasselfrau, the scene with that just cracks me up. It's like not a magic boat, a talking car. I love that scene. But the last 15 minutes, Yondu's sacrifice, Quill's eulogy, the Ravager funeral, Cat Stevens song, I ugly cry every time I see the end of that film. I've seen the film 12 times at least.
Wow.
And because I saw it 4 times in the theater. Okay. A lot of Wednesday matinees for me in 2017. So I saw it, obviously the Friday premiere, and I was like, I'm watching this, so, yeah, it breaks me down to a bowl of Jello every single time at the end, man. It's like, the feels of that, it was great. I loved it. The comedy, the action, the interaction between these characters, where, like you said last week, it's like your gaming group, it's like, it's serious stakes, but these guys are just arguing all the time, so. And just all this, and I know some of people were like, they were getting kind of tired of Drax laughing through the 2/3 of the movie, but it still has some great moments, like at the end where Nebula says, all you do is fight, you're not friends. Just, no, we're family. We leave no one behind, except maybe you. So,
Yeah.
But so this one has not 1, not 2, 5 post-credit scenes.
Yes.
So, and I love talking about these. Okay, so Kraglin, the first one is Kraglin tests the arrow that we're not even, because according to, I remember like when I first got the DVD, I watched with James Gunn's commentary, and I think James says in the commentary that if Kraglin hadn't given Quill the Zune, he probably would have kept the arrow for himself. But he gave the arrow to Kraglin. He says, "Thanks, Captain." And so he was testing the arrow and hits Drax. Ah! So it was great. Second one was Stakar reunites the original Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know a great deal about the origins of the show. I don't even show. I'm sure like if Stakar was one of the original Stakar Gord was one of the original Guardians, but. And I guess like there was a little robot head. I guess it was voiced by Miley Cyrus. I didn't know this. And the third one is the teaser for Adam Warlock. Now, will Adam Warlock be in Endgame, or will he be in Guardians 3?
I think it'll be in Guardians 3. I don't know how you bring him in with what they've done. There's just not enough time.
You've got 3 hours now.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there's that.
There's time.
To suddenly have him show up out of the blue from a trailer spot, post-credit spot, and they've done nothing with it for a little while.
Yeah, but I mean, at least there can be even the first 10, 15 minutes. We might even I'm just imagining this scene in Endgame. We'll get back to Guardians here in a minute, but imagine this scene where all this turmoil all throughout the universe. Because half of everyone is gone. Oh, including pets, apparently. Animals are gone, too. When Black Widow says 50% of all living things. So.
I wonder if the giant ant's gone.
And then the fourth who knows? We might see Adam Warlock in Endgame. We'll see. The fourth post-credit scene is Quill is arguing with Teen Groot.
Yeah.
And apparently Quill can now understand Groot. I think they all can now at this point.
Yeah, now
because not just Rocket, but the one scene where in Infinity War where they're on the way to
save Thor.
To heed the rescue call to the Asgardian ship, and Groot says something, and everyone's like, "Oh, language!" And even Drax is like, "Oh my goodness."
Well, keep in mind. The time frame between Guardians 2
and Infinity War is a couple of years.
It's like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So, I would imagine by then everybody knows how to talk.
Knows what Groot means.
With Groot. Yeah, that doesn't shock me. What was the fifth one?
The fifth one was the Watchers ditch Stan Lee.
Oh, that's right.
How am I going to get a ride home? Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that was the one that everybody was talking about.
That was the one that really made his cameos very interesting in this whole thing.
And at the time before the Disney Fox merger, the talk was that you could use him as the conduit to even other multiverse type things where he's been in those other movies, and he could be talking about it there. And that was an interesting thing. Ironically, now I'm curious to see if that even happens at all. I'm going to be honest with you. It's a good movie, but I did not laugh nearly as hard at this movie as I do the original Guardians.
You like the first one better?
I like the first one better. It's definitely a good movie. I will tell you that I have not seen this movie in a long time, though. And it's interesting because this movie, I would have thought by now it'd be like on FX or somebody like that. Nope. It's been like nowhere. Like it's not been anywhere where I can catch it, even on on regular cable.
Yeah, no one's put it on cable yet.
No, and I wonder if that's part of Disney's new strategy about that. Because in fairness, it's not like Homecoming's been out, and neither has any of the other ones. Now that I think about it.
Black Panther.
Yeah, none of those have been out on like a regular channel.
Doctor Strange, Ragnarok, no, none of those have been on cable yet. So,
although it is interesting because now that Disney owns FX, which is where a lot of them were coming to, we'll see if that changes again.
yeah,
We'll see if that changes again to bump some FX numbers a little bit.
yeah.
But
No, but I'm the opposite with you because you like the first one better. I love the second one. I mean, I love it with a passion.
mhm.
I have a shelf with all my Marvel Legends of the cast of Guardians 2 on my wall here, in a place of prominence here in my man cave.
I will admit the one scene that hasn't bothered is the one that I was playing around with all summer long on Facebook, where people would go, "I am Groot," and my response would be, "No, not that one. That's the button. Try again." And I kept doing it on people's posts, and certain people didn't get it, and some people would, and like the post would go on like 20 posts, 20 posts long, and everybody's laughing because it's like, I can't believe this works, but it's like it was fun. So, yeah, no, I love the characters. I love a lot. I did enjoy it. Obviously, the Mary Poppins thing is hysterical.
Yeah, that got cheers in my theater.
Right, and all that. At the same time, yeah, there's parts of it that's really good. There's parts of it where I'm like, I kind of look at part of the story and I'm like, I just don't feel like it. I don't know. Maybe I just I really, like I said, the first one is one of those movies that literally I'm like, I will stop what I'm doing to watch the original Guardians of the Galaxy movie. This, maybe my expectations were too high. That's definitely a possibility. And that might be what the problem is. But, and by the way, to be clear, when I say that, that doesn't mean I think the movie stinks. That's just me saying,
yeah.
It didn't, I was so excited that we were going to get another Guardians movie, and it was like, but yeah, no, like I said, you're really catching into the movies that we really like. What's next?
Then the other one is Avengers: Age of Ultron, which the Age of Ultron was like a week. The week of Ultron, I think, was the better title. That's not as good a title, but it's more apt for Avengers: Ultron. Now, this is the first time we see, obviously, not counting the post-credit scene. This is a movie that helps introduce us to the twins, or more accurately, just Scarlet Witch, because the other one doesn't make it.
Yeah.
And now I've had trouble, like I said, the MCU has had trouble with their villains sometimes. I complained about Malekith and Hammer and Whiplash and what's the other one? Killian from Iron Man 3. But they did Ultron great. James Spader, his voice, man. Just his delivery of those lines.
Yep.
Just like, yes, he's a psychopathic robot. He is awesome. I remember you can see some scenes like when he's wearing the mocap suit and he's saying the lines. It's just enthralling just to hear James Spader develop these terrible lines about you want to protect the world but you don't want it to change. Love it. So the first time we see Ulysses Klaue, who will have a prominent role in Black Panther. Of course, great to see Andy Serkis. And not being like a monkey or Smeagol. The fight scene with Hulk and Veronica, or as we know, the Hulkbuster, was great. Because I caught this one scene is funny. I guess Bruce helped Tony design Veronica. It's like you talked about before they were gonna because the first opening scene was they retrieved Loki's scepter from this Hydra base,
right?
And okay, well let's look it over for a couple of days. And Thor's like, okay, so Bruce and Tony are like, let's tap into this thing. There might even be like a computer inside this scepter or something, but it's the consciousness, which was the mind gem. Obviously, this is the first time in any film Thor goes on his quest. I'll talk about that in a moment. To figure out what about these Infinity Stones. But there's a scene where Tony's all like, I picture a suit of armor around the world, and one where you're sitting on Bruce, you'd rather be on a beach turning brown instead of green, without Veronica over your shoulder. And Bruce says something offhand remark like, yeah, I helped you design Veronica. So that was a great scene between the Hulkbuster and the Hulk once he gets all crazy because of the Scarlet Witch. This whole thing with, speaking of Bruce, this whole thing with Bruce and Black Widow, I know some people were critical of it, and there's even one like at the end when they retrieved the coffin or whatever, the sarcophagus or whatever you want to call it, the thing that he was growing vision in, where Ultron captures Black Widow and pretty much uses her as bait. So she's the damsel in distress, and she's now she wants to see her man again. And it's like some people didn't care for that, and I was like, it was fine. Well, like because all the other times we've seen Black Widow, she don't need no man. But oh well. So that was just that. It was that I was fine with it. It didn't annoy me, but and I like there was because of the one bathroom scene because I did see the some of the deleted scenes. There was a different version of that scene where the two of them were talking about their even if they could even make it work, in the bathroom in Clint's house. How they worked it out. They figured it out, and it was Bruce who says no, this isn't going to work. What else? Oh, yes. Now, I couldn't tell if it was toast or bread, but Nick Fury was eating bread that was diagonally cut.
Yes, so I know. This is the conversation from Captain Marvel.
Yes, take that as you will, but I couldn't tell if it was toast because that was a specific line in Captain Marvel. He says, toast is cut diagonally. I can't eat it. So I couldn't tell if it was toast or not, but whatever. There's a great line from Black Widow, and because we know this exposition about why the twins hate Tony Stark, because the building fell down on him, and they sat with 2 days with one of his bombs sat in front of him, and that's why they hate Tony Stark, because they saw his name on the rockets. Like, we waited 2 days for Tony Stark to kill us, but they had a great line where she makes the realization about Ultron's intent. Like when he's growing the vision out of vibranium in the casket because of the Dr. Cho that he uses the scepter on to influence her to build this body form. And Scarlet Witch says Ultron can't tell the difference between saving the world and destroying it. Where do you think he gets that? And I think that was a great thing because you look at all this shit that's happened and how much of it is Tony Stark's fault.
Yeah.
Being an arms dealer, his past as a result. I mean, you could say that Tony Stark is who he is because his parents died and they didn't give a crap. He just making the money and seeing it go and doing whatever he wanted and being nonchalant about living off of being an arms dealer. And all the lives that he's influenced as his father, created anyway, but so it's a great line. I just wanted to add that. And of course we see the Vision, and he was a badass, and of course it calls back to the scene at the party when no one can lift a hammer, and Vision be all like, we have to go, and everyone's like, so it was a big gasp moment because he's whether he is worthy or pure of spirit, or if he's just not a person. Yeah, he's an android. He's or that, and because he has an Infinity Stone in his head. Who knows?
We'll get back to the hammer thing when you're done with your summary.
Yeah. One scene where Black Widow and Hulk arrive on the battle scene in the final battle, and Tony says, "You two off playing hide the zucchini." And Black Widow calls Tony Shellhead. That's a great callback to the old comics. It was his old scene from that. Final battle was cool with all the robots. And to be like, for 1 minute you're like, wow, look, Magneto's kids are fighting this army of robots, and sure it'd be great to have Magneto here.
Not really.
But, I think that's a meme or something. And then the end credits rolled, the music was by Danny Elfman. So, that was interesting. I think that's the only Marvel movie he's done.
Is it? I'm not sure.
I'd have to look that up. But yeah, wasn't the Alan Silvestri who did the Avengers 1 soundtrack. I think that's where that original theme song came from. The da 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 da. That's where I think Alan Silvestri came up with that. But Danny Elfman was by the music. Now, there's only one post-credit scene, and it's not at the very end. There was no post-credit scene at the very end of this film. It was just before the credits roll. You see a door open and an empty Infinity Gauntlet with no gems in it. Thanos puts his hand in it, says, "Fine, I'll do it myself," and that's it. That's where the shit begins.
And he's a lot less purple.
Yeah. There's a lot. Yeah, exactly. And a lot more crusty around the chin, I guess.
Yeah, something like that.
So because he looks the same as he did in Guardians 1, and at the end, same as the brief moment we saw him at the end of the Avengers. Mm-hmm. But this is Avengers 2, so this was a good tie-in, was obviously because Avengers 3 is Infinity War. We get a couple other ones after that, but obviously the big one being Civil War coming up. So I watched some of the deleted scenes. I talked about how the different bathroom scene between Nat and Bruce. And now you can tell how that scene with Thor in the water was cut because Scarlet Witch gets to Thor and he sees a vision of everyone just being destroyed, of Asgard being destroyed, and Heimdall is in it, but he has no eyes or whatever. Uh-huh. So Thor goes to see Dr. Stelnick, and they go to see this pool.
Right.
But
that's the movie.
Yeah, that's in Avengers. That's in Ultron. Right. Yeah. But there's an extended scene where Thor's possessed by I forget the name of the spirits that possess him, but he has a whole scene where it's not just him struggling with the lightning and the water and all that. But Whedon said it just didn't fit. It would have fit more into a Thor movie, but it was just far too much to unpack for an Avengers.
Yeah, that was a weird scene. I didn't really feel like it worked in the movie to begin with anyway.
Yeah, but they had to explain why he did what he did when he showed up to activate Vision. Because everyone was all like, no more super robots. And Thor shows up, nope, we need a super robot. And he did because the Mind Stone was in it or whatever.
Right.
And then explains there was another scene where the twins are in the very beginning of the film. We understand why they were summoned to the church to meet Ultron initially, because there's they were giving food to families and stuff. They're helping their people out, and then one of the kids says, "Oh, there's the man wants to see you in the church," and they say who it is. It's Iron Man, because it looks like Iron Man, Ultron. So that's why the twins showed up at the church, and James Spader's they put this thing in the middle of the town so it could be equally close to God. But so that explains that as to why the twins were brought to the center, because they just in the movie they just showed up. The two of them just walk in and it's oh, there he is, and you're going to help me rip up the Avengers and totally not destroy the world.
Yeah, we're not looking to destroy the world, but we are.
Ultron, but they want revenge against Tony Stark, which is why they join him initially. But then when she finds out, when he creates Vision and she can sense his feelings, she knows that he's off to get rid of everybody. So this Ultron was good. I remember seeing it. I remember at the time it was 2015 or is it 2014? Sheesh.
Is it that late?
No, it was 2015. Yeah, Ultron was 2015.
It's before Guardians, both Guardians movies. I know that.
Yes, it was after Guardians 2. It was after Guardians 1. So this was 2015. I remember seeing it in 3D with my girlfriend, and we hit a deer on the way back from the theater. It didn't damage the car, but killed the deer. But
that's impressive to go they went the other way.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying this. So next week for my Marvel watch is Ant-Man and Civil War.
Ooh, love Civil War. Yeah. Enjoy Ant-Man. It's a guilty pleasure. It's a guilty pleasure movie.
I know some people didn't care much for Ant-Man. I like this as a low stakes heist movie. And it's great comedy, too. It's great comedy.
We badly need the start. Even if it's not really in the movie, they should have a primer before Endgame with Luis doing the whole thing.
Yes, we need him to sum everything up.
Yeah, to sum everything up, just to have it. It doesn't have to be in the movie. It could be right before the movie, before we even get into the movie. Just as an entirely side thing that they put in there. It would be great. And he's that we need that. We badly need that. Ultron, a couple things. One, that's the last Joss Whedon movie with Marvel.
Yeah.
There's always been talk that they were trying to figure out a way to push either Captain Marvel or Spider-Man or both into that movie. And some of it was timing, or it didn't work, or whatnot, or you get all that. That's been the talk. Whedon's even talked about that. The Spider-Man thing didn't come together fast enough.
Yeah, Spider-Man. Well, they got him in time for Civil War.
Right, but originally, apparently, they were talking about trying to have him as early as Ultron, and they were even talking about Captain Marvel as early as Ultron. But Whedon basically I think it was that point. Whedon had already scripted and couldn't make it work, and they were like, nope, we're not doing it. Which, in hindsight, probably was a smart call to try to introduce them there. I don't know if it would have worked. And it worked really well for what they ended up doing. But that was the last we've seen Joss Whedon in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And in some ways, that's unfortunate. I do hope that at some point he'll consider coming back and doing a few things. But we'll see. Maybe that ship has sailed at this point. But really, in reality, we as much as people don't want to say this, we really can thank Joss Whedon, because a lot of what we see today would not be here without him doing the job that he did in the original Avengers movie. Because we've seen other companies try to make this shared universe thing work, and it's not. Very few of them have been able to make this really work. And so, to me, I think one of the reasons it worked is you had a guy like that who was connected to the comics and was a legit producer of a very phenomenal TV show where, you know what, we're going to give him the reins and let him do his thing. And I think that was huge, and that's part of the reason why it worked. The other thing is, that movie has one of my favorite scenes. That whole Avengers Tony Stark bar scene.
Oh, the party?
Where he has the party.
Yeah.
There is some freaking gold in that thing.
Yeah.
There's some great stuff in there. When
the Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah, well, I hadn't even got that far, but Cheeto, where he's talking about, and he's doing the War Machine story, and Thor's like, yeah. And he's like, everybody always wanted that. He's like, well, maybe you just need better War Machine stories or something. And he's just perturbed about it. And then he goes and does the story for a couple of girls, and they all laugh. And he's good. And then, like you said, the thing with Stan Lee drinking with Thor, and he walks off when he's too drunk, and he's like, Excelsior. Yeah. Where he's like, hey, buddy, we helped in World War II. We'll be just fine. I don't know if time for you to be able to handle it. Well, that's just fine. And he's like,
yeah. Yeah.
And then there's the hammer thing. The thing with the hammer where they're all just sitting around and they all think they can lift the hammer.
Oh, it's the fingerprint thing.
Yeah. That is one of the great scenes that they've ever created. It's really hysterical. Every time that scene is on, I will stop and watch it because that's funny. Yeah. Where he's like, Downey's awesome, and he's like, I'm going to reinstore Primanopera, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. After I did, and Jerry Renner's great at the end. It's like, he who holds the hammer has all. It's exactly like some sort of medieval thing, like Game of Thrones-y kind of sounding words. And everybody, it's like Tony goes and walks back and goes get the suit to see if he can torque it up.
He gets an armor gauntlet, and so does Cheadle.
Yeah, and the two of them are doing it at the same time, and they can't get it.
You pulling? Represent.
Yeah, I swear it's like.
There's some great moments in that too.
Right, and then there's
everywhere.
a moment where Banner does it just for the heck of it, and he's like, yeah.
And he pulls, and then they ask Natalie, and she's like, nope, that's not a question, or Natasha.
The most interesting part of that is, and I wonder if they'll go back to it all in Endgame. I would love to see a moment like this, because there's a moment when Captain America
yes.
is picking it up, and it goes off the ground a little bit, and Thor has a look on his face.
No,
like
it moves just a tiny bit.
Right. And the look on Thor's face.
Thor's just like, he's astonished. He's worried.
He's like shocked. He's like, and then it doesn't go, and then he's like, I'd love to see that scene. Ironically, that was from Justice League Avengers, but from Justice League versus Avengers, or Justice League and Avengers, except instead of it being Superman carrying both, I think Captain America, it would be cool to see Captain America with the shield and the hammer at one point.
Yeah, he did do that move at the Hydra base where he uses the hammer. No, it was against the robots at the end.
Yeah.
Where he uses the hammer and just a thong, and then the shield.
Right.
The shield.
Right. But it would be cool to see him go, like, have a moment where he's going one-on-one with Thanos, where he's got the axe and he's got the shield. And that'd be cool. But that scene, that whole section there is good stuff.
Remember, there's one good line at the final battle between they're moving people. The helicarrier shows up, and Don Cheadle shows up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Rhodey shows up, and Iron Man's like, "Hey, glad you could make it. Keep up." And he says, "You don't think I can hold your own?" And Tony says, "If you make it through this, I'll hold your own." And Rhodey's like, "You had to make it weird, didn't you?"
Well, and the funny part is, because there's a line in there near the back end where he does something impressive, and it's like, that's a War Machine story.
Yeah, that's going to make a great story. Yeah,
that's going to make a good War Machine story or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that's interesting about this movie is it's the last time you see the original team of Avengers together. The original team.
Yeah.
This is where essentially things start to splinter. Hulk decides he's going to disappear and somehow ends up off to where they do the Planet Hulk.
Yeah, he makes it to Stakar. Or,
right.
Somehow or whatever.
A Quinjet that I still don't understand it.
Just goes through a gateway. That's all. That's what happens.
Yeah, but I was under the impression. Well, the question is, can a Quinjet really get into space? But I don't want to get into that. I'll go along with it. And then Thor disappears. So really, in reality,
Thor goes off to figure out more about these Infinity Stones because of the vision he had in the water.
Right. But the point being is, this is the point where we start to see some splintering. Sometimes because of what you're talking about, sometimes because there was reasons for it.
Yeah.
But and as it is, this movie also, and this is where Whedon doesn't get credit, is all the seeds for Civil War are planted here.
Yes.
All of them.
There's a scene where Steve is talking to Sam. It's the only time you see him. He wasn't at the final battle, but Sam is off on his missing persons quest.
Right. That's the other thing I forgot about.
Winter Soldier, yeah.
Yeah, where they, that's the first time you see. Yeah, first time you see that. There's the whole scene where, like you talked about, where Steve and Tony clash about the whole Ultron thing and all this stuff. The only other thing I think of note is, this is also the movie where Tony has that vision where everybody's dead and he's standing there, and there's the
Chitauri monster, yeah, monster
ship like flying around and all this stuff, and it's supposedly like this nightmare thing.
Yeah.
And
compounded from his PTSD from the attack in New York.
But then if you, like, for example, it's interesting, though, because when you go to Infinity War, which I watched this past weekend, some of the stuff that happens there, he does make the comment. He's like, it's just like what I dreamed.
Yeah.
It's just like what I saw happen. This is something that I've seen and all this stuff. So,
which is great because we know Tony's great and all and awesome, but his actions are rooted in good intentions, but it's all comes back to him though.
Well, this is where you see the real differences between Captain America and Iron Man in terms of who they are as individuals. And it's the reason why you can do a movie like you can do a book originally like Mark Miller did with Civil War in the comics, and it's the reason why you're able to do a Civil War movie and it makes sense, which is both guys have the right intention. Their intentions are good. Neither one is really wrong. It's just whose vision do you look at and go, yeah, I'm willing to follow it. And that's where it comes down to is, some people, there are people in the world who think like Tony Stark. There are other people in the world who think like Captain America. And the thing is, it's like neither is really wrong. Obviously it's a Captain America movie, so needless to say, who was technically wrong in that movie. But if it was a straight up Avengers movie, it might have been a little bit more 50-50, if you know what I mean. But yeah.
But the team was split 50-50 in Civil War.
Right.
Which was pretty much Avengers 2.5.
Right. I wonder how many viewers saw it that way, though.
Now, I officially declared when Civil War came out, everyone was all like Team Tony, Team Steve. I was all like Team Thor. Where's Thor?
Well, if we're talking about a regular book, and that's interesting too because that follows along with the original, some of the original source material. Because in the original source material, the Hulk is gone because he's off doing the Planet Hulk thing.
Right.
Okay. Thor is not there. I can't remember why. But what's different from the books is, I can't remember how they did it, but Tony is able to clone Thor. And so at one point in the beginning, he used to be nicknamed Clor because he's the clone of Thor. And in the comics, because he's not really Thor, he throws his quote unquote hammer right through Goliath. And when I say Goliath, not Scott Lang. Whoever was being Goliath at the time and kills him.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne.
No, not Lawrence Fishburne either. I can't remember what the character was, but you get the point. And my understanding is, so the interesting part was, and it's too bad because that would have been interesting to see how it all would have worked out, is in the comics what happens is Thor comes back and finds out and he's pissed. He's pissed at Tony. And obviously there's an issue there. When Hulk comes back, there's an entire another crossover called World War Hulk, and where basically Hulk ends up ruling Skara and comes back with the entire armada and comes to Earth. Now with himself under control and all this stuff. And again, I don't know enough of the details, but I know that at one point, he practically is peeling Tony out of a suit.
Oh yeah, one last thing while we're on the subject of Hulk. Now, in the first Avengers, we got one line from the Hulk. Puny God. We got 0 lines from the Hulk as Hulk in Avengers Ultron. So then he's obviously he's in the Quinjet and he makes his way to Sakaar. Then he's been the Hulk for 2 years or whatever. That's where he develops his vocabulary. That was obviously that was a good setup for that. Where he has the vocabulary of like a 3-year-old. Yeah, so, well, like I said, it's to me, that's one of the reasons why with this movie gets, believe it or not, even with the amount of money that it made, this movie gets maligned for not being a success, because it didn't hit the box office projections, and there are a lot of people who's like, well, this movie didn't do this, it didn't do that, and in fairness, this movie had a lot to do in retrospect. Yeah, it did. It was the bridge movie.
and far more of a bridge movie than Empire Strikes Back ever was.
Yeah. It's well, actually, speaking of box office numbers, after only 3 weeks at the box office, Captain Marvel is now the 10th highest grossing superhero movie of all time.
Yeah.
Worldwide. Now, Avengers Ultron is number 3 with $1.4 billion.
Right, and they don't consider that a success.
That's a failure?
I know.
I'd like to direct a failure if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, keep in mind, Batman v Superman, for all the talk that we give it, it made a lot of money. The problem becomes there are a certain amount of costs and expectations to what a movie like that's going to make. And Avengers Ultron was slated to make, you get the idea, more than what it took in. Same with Batman v Superman. Same problem. So when it doesn't hit those numbers, it's not considered a success.
Well, there's not meeting expectations, and then there's losing money. Obviously,
right.
Marvel Disney did not lose money on Ultron.
Well, right, exactly. Again, I'm with you. But again, the people who finance this stuff and, people who are looking at from a shareholder perspective look at this very differently. Trust me, I've had this discussion. I've been on your side of this discussion. I really have. I've been on this side of the discussion, which is what makes me laugh even harder, that I'm the one who's got to defend it. Because my reaction is, yeah, you know what? I'll take $1.4 billion. Yeah. I'll take it. It's like, yeah, but that's not what they expected. Well, sorry you didn't expect more, but 1.4 sounds phenomenal. I'll take 1% of that if they don't want it.
I'll take 0.1% of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean.
So yeah, Ultron was great. I enjoyed it very much, and they did a villain right, and that's the best thing. That when your villain is the title, the name of the villain is in the title, you want to be sure you get the villain right, and they did it right. That's the most impressive thing. I mean, like you said, there's a lot to unpack in this film. There's a lot of story points you got to hit, and it worked great for me. So it worked great for a lot of people because it made a shit ton of money.
Yeah, I think part of it is, oh my God, Avengers, but
But in my mind, it's still kind of middle of the road. Not my favorite.
Right.
But it's still a great superhero film.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in fairness, without that movie, there's a lot of movies that don't. It's like it's funny. We look at it now, years later, and we sit there and we go, okay, this movie essentially was the ability for them to launch Thor Ragnarok. This movie was the ability for them to
lay the groundwork for Civil War.
Lay the groundwork for Civil War. Lay groundwork for Infinity War.
Because they all exposition about the Infinity Stones.
Right, with all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on here. And then to top it off, you essentially bring in, you bring in two characters, one of which you keep. And there's always been talk about that because people were confused because at the time you had Quicksilver in the X-Men movies, and so it was interesting. And I think what happened was this: because Avengers has used both of those characters, they found a way to use them in an IP. And I think at the end of the day, what ended up happening was Fox and Disney came to an agreement. Because at that point, I think what they did was basically sit there and go, yep, you can have Scarlet Witch, we can have Quicksilver.
Yeah, and they did Quicksilver right. And now, every time I hear Jim Croce's Time in a Bottle, I'll know the kitchen scene. It's changed the way it's changed my perception of music. Same thing in Guardians 2. I'll never hear Jamie and the Americans Come a Little Bit Closer the same way again. Now it's Yondu's Got the Fin.
Well, it's funny, we forgot to talk about, what we forgot to talk about? Huh. There's two people in Guardians 2. One was more of a cameo. The other that person might still stick around, which is you had the David Hasselhoff cameo.
Yeah, which was it was Ego who had copied David Hasselhoff because he was Quill's, the whole story about how he kept his picture in his wallet.
Right. And then, but the other person is, and it's possible they might bring him back for Guardians 3, is Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. It's very possible too. I know. I remember from the director's commentary that James Gunn wanted David Bowie, but he had already passed away.
Can't bring back from the dead.
Yeah. So that's from the Aladdin. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, Stallone was great as Stakar.
Hey, question for you.
Yeah.
I guess this weekend is the live action Dumbo. I can't see myself spending double digits to see it.
Yeah, my family, I have family members who want to go see it. I don't know. I might catch matinee. I don't know. I'm not
right. I feel like that's where I'm at. I'm like either a matinee or I can wait until it comes out on DVR or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just not feeling it as much as, like, I don't know if we talked about this or not.
We have, because Ivan, he doesn't care for it.
No, I don't mean that. Where I was going to go next, which is the new Aladdin trailer made me less nervous about the Will Smith blue thing that I was just like, no, this isn't going to work.
There's a couple scenes where he shows up where he's not blue.
Yeah. Well, not only that, that's the trailer they should have released. They should have released that trailer, not the one they released, because everyone went,
Maybe they had made this trailer as a response to.
They might have.
They might have made. Oh, you know what? I think let's show Will Smith without the CG.
Well, not only that, but they made it more. They gave it more of an. It felt more like what you saw in the cartoon movie, and that seemed to exist more in that particular one, and put me a little bit more at ease as somebody who is a big Robin Williams fan. And like I said, I saw the Broadway Aladdin, and I understand that nobody can be Robin Williams, but I saw the Broadway Aladdin, and honestly, I was just like, yeah, no, this isn't doing it for me. So I like Will Smith, but I think that you're asking somebody to take on one hell of a situational role, and I don't know. I hope it goes well. I hope a lot of these things go well, because it seems like that's the other thing Disney seems to be all up in doing, which is just this year we're getting what? We're getting Dumbo, we're getting Aladdin, and we're getting Lion King. We're getting 3 of these things.
Yeah. Just because of the huge success of the Beauty and the Beast.
Well, and the Jungle Book movies have done well too.
Yeah, I did like the Jungle Book. That
was
good.
I've heard good things. Again, not something I've seen. I do want to go across the street for a minute and talk a little DC for a minute.
Yeah, the only thing I got for DC this week is just this Friday, the digital release of the animated Fatal 5 comes out.
Okay.
So I'll buy the DVD next month, and then you'll get my take on it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of the features, and it's funny because they are usually available on demand. I just haven't. Sometimes I haven't. They've been hit or miss at times, and I'm like, I don't know. We'll start with the fact that Black Lightning ended for the season, for season 2. I really felt, and if you watch Black Lightning, spoiler time. This is a good time to fast forward about maybe 10 minutes or so 10-15 minutes while we talk about this. So season 1, Mike, it was really street level. Okay. It was very urban. It was very street level. They kept it really simple. They kept the storytelling where, it had that, feel like you were watching a better version of blaxploitation or Shaft.
So it's kind of like a Luke Cage kind of vibe.
Yeah, better.
Okay.
Better.
Luke
More
Cage,
light,
but better. Okay.
More light, more action type music. The music was more up, kind of like the Shaft kind of feel to it, which worked. And they have their own theme music, which is cool too. And it worked. It really worked. The whole season worked. And in some ways, I think it's really unfortunate because season 1 launched at the exact same time Black Panther came out. And if Black Panther hadn't come out, I think Black Lightning would have gotten more pub. But because both launched around the same time, I think one overshadowed the other, and with the obvious being Black Panther. But season two, they decided it was time to do a little bit more, and they were trying to expand out their Black Lightning universe, so to speak. And I think in some regards they lost their way a little bit. They spent a lot of time in season 2 with the youngest daughter, who's Jennifer, who eventually becomes Lightning, because she's really powerful, and they hadn't really gotten that far with it. And there's an entire part of a storyline where it's really all about Jennifer's on the run with her boyfriend and all this stuff. And it gets a little monotonous and it goes a little too long, is the problem. The other thing about this season is they start introducing characters that are DC characters, and it's really clear they're trying to get certain people into their universe, this Black Lightning universe, because they're trying to populate a little bit. Like, for example, there's a couple of episodes where they're someplace else nearby Freeland, which is where they work out of, and they run into Looker. Well, Looker eventually becomes a member of the Outsiders at one point. It's either in the 80s or the 90s, I can't remember which. But she originally starts as kind of a bad guy, if I remember correctly. So they bring her along, and she's kind of there, but it's just kind of like she's there. And they kind of throw that there. It's like a couple episode interlude where it's like they're dealing with this. And then later in the season, they start bringing in Markovia. And for anybody who's not aware, Markovia is essentially where Geoforce comes from, which is I can't remember. I think it's Brian Markov, who is the prince of Markovia, and that's originally why the Outsiders come together in the first place. Is there's a storyline with Batman, and Black Lightning is part of them, and so they've introduced Markovia into what was more of an urban type of story, and I mean it sort of works, but it's like I feel like they're trying to force this in. And the other thing that's interesting about this is so Brian, or however it's pronounced, Markov, becomes Geoforce, who is also a hero, again, part of this Outsiders team. The other part that's interesting is, and this is where it'll be interesting, is his sister is Tara Markov, a.k.a. Tara, a.k.a. from the Teen Titans, who betrays the Titans and helps Slade Wilson in the Judas Contract, which is maybe one of the greatest trade paperbacks of all time in terms of any of that. So I'm curious to see where this all goes with that regard. I don't think that'll happen. The other thing is that the older daughter, who's known as Thunder in the comics, starts to have a relationship with Grace Choi. Again, another member of the Outsiders in the future, ironically on the team that Thunder's on, which is a future Outsiders team. But the point, even when you hear me talking about this, Mike, I think you can understand where this season gets lost. They introduced a lot of different pieces and a lot of different factors, and at the end of the day, I feel like they got away from the basics, which was Black Lightning versus Tobias Whale.
So there's just too much extra going on?
I think that
too many new characters being introduced?
Right. I mean, I think they spent a lot of time seeding their quote-unquote universe to bring in new, different pieces and different stories for the future. When, really at the end of the day, this story is always at the end about Tobias Whale, who's their big bad, and Black Lightning. And in fairness, at the end of the season, yeah, Tobias Whale is supposedly put away, but, he's not dead, and, guys like that never really go away. So maybe he'll take a back seat in season 3. I don't know. But I feel like the storytelling was a little bit all over the place. I feel like they tried to do quite a bit this year, and they got a little bit too ambitious, and tried to stuff a lot of different things in. And as a result, it lost some of the cohesiveness of season 1, and it lost some of the feel. And I hope, I know it's renewed for season 3, but I hope that they can find that, and I'm really curious to see what they're going to do, because apparently this whole Markovia thing with Freeland is going to be a thing where Markovians are going to start infiltrating Freeland, and I'm not sure how that's going to work, because you're talking about a country now that's infiltrating a city in America, and where does this fall into the urban aspect of what this is? And I don't know. I hope it works. Maybe I'm not seeing it. I'm sure other people are. Maybe they see something different. But it's unfortunate, because it was so good in season 1. So good. And I just found myself sitting there going,
So you think they've lost their way a little bit in season 2, and now just maybe, because that was one thing, like when I watched season 1 of Titans, it was all about obviously about Raven and her father, and all the shit going on in between. You see the Doom Patrol a little bit, you see a little bit of Hawk and Dove, and obviously the whole expedition with Beast Boy and Starfire, and obviously a lot of it has to do with Dick Grayson. But from a narrative standpoint, it was pretty solid. But from what you told me here about season 2 of Black Lightning, seems like there's just too much going on at once.
Right. I think they were just trying to get some to be able to build their universe. And that's unfortunate, because I think it was better when they slowly added them in piece by piece. I don't think they needed to add all this, but it seems like they really just kind of wanted to get away from the basic main story, which is, at the end of the day, it's Tobias Whale is your big bad versus the Black Lightning, and they seemed to want to get away from it a little too soon for my taste. I would have gone one more season. I think you could have gone one more season with what they did. And they didn't. And that's unfortunate, because I think you could have then taken the time to introduce a few more things more organically in season 2. And that's unfortunate. And it's funny because, we've talked a little bit about some of the changes for what's coming. Maybe there's all kinds of rumors about that, after Crisis of Infinite Earths in the fall for the CW shows. But, the numbers have not been what they were, and they're talking about some shake-ups, some different things. And in fairness, maybe it's time to take a look at that. But I would think in season 2 of a show, especially one that has nothing to do with that shouldn't be an issue. But, I don't know. By the way, on your Titans thing, I don't know if you caught it, they've cast a Slade Wilson, and they have cast somebody to be his daughter, Rose Wilson, a.k.a. the next Ravager. I won't say the original Ravager, because that was really Grant Wilson, who dies in the original 80s series in number 2, which is why Slade Wilson is so mad at them, which has to do with the Hive. But I'm curious to see where this all goes. Because it looks as though season 2, I don't know if it's season 2 or season 3 that's going on, that they've cast these characters for. So
I presume it's for season 2. I presume they're shooting season 2 now.
Right. Yeah, and I just think it's interesting, because that means, I'm curious, I would guess that means we won't see we won't see Slade Wilson and Arrow anymore. That's just a guess.
Yeah, maybe just because Arrow is being sunsetted now too. So
right. Well, yeah, that's it too. Yeah. So the other thing on DC I kind of want to get to is I guess Zack Snyder decided to open his mouth again.
What could have been? I'm tired of that shit.
You and me both, but there are people who absolutely.
Where's the Snyder cut of Justice League?
Well, and I hate to say it, I think some of it is Snyder does some of this just to fuel what he needs to fuel for him. I don't know, because I don't know if he's working on projects or not, or what the story is. But like for some, I don't know if it was at a con this weekend or what the story is. But there's a lot of different stuff out there. Oh, here's what it is. Speaking of a director's cut panel at the Art Center College of Design, I guess there was a special showing of Batman v Superman, and
I've still not watched the extended cut of BVS.
I haven't either.
I hear it's better than the theatrical release.
And I won't go into. There's a lot of different stuff here where I guess he goes into a whole bunch of stuff. But the headline screams, Darkseid was going to kill Lois Lane. And there's a part of me where I'm kind of like sitting here just going, and this is why this guy shouldn't get this. It's like, wow, okay. He should never be allowed near Superman. Batman, maybe. Superman, no. Here, he talks about this, quote, the truth is that the nightmare sequence in this movie, it was my idea that all of it would eventually be explained. It's that surprise. And in the end, it would end up in the distant future where Darkseid has taken over Earth and where Superman has succumbed to the anti-life equation, and there were a few members of the Justice League that had survived the world that they were fighting. Batman and a broken half of Cyborg, there's only half of them because of what happened to him. They were working on an equation to jump back to tell Bruce. Those things that they were dealing with. And the studio, they were sort of into the big look, but the deep depth about how and why everyone was mad at each other. He continued to reveal Flash's warning to Bruce Wayne about Lois being the key was central to his future, because Lois in the Justice League teaser, it wasn't in the movie apparently. It's the line where Bruce says, I was right here, and Barry came to me and said Lois is the key. He goes on and rambling about a whole bunch of stuff about where apparently this is where this went. And from the sounds of it, it sounds as though he's never watched the current cut. The other thing that came out is he claims that there is indeed a Snyder cut that exists, and that it would be up to Warner Brothers to release it. And I gotta be honest with you, Mike, I've gotten to the point now where, you know what, if I was Warner's, I would release it. People are going to be dumb enough to buy it. People are going to buy it. People are going to buy it. Some people are going to watch just to see if it was any good or not. It's buzz. It's money. Why not? And you know what?
Guess. I mean, if you're hitting the big red reset button anyway, because they're DC. I think DC's doing the smarter approach with just the standalone films
at the moment.
And now, now we'll get into the Wonder Woman movie now too, but in a bit. But maybe you're right. It's like I was interested to see the Donner cut of Superman. I was like, I liked it because it was from my childhood.
Right.
I liked Superman 1 and Superman 2 better than the Donner cut.
It's funny. I still don't, unless they're not on message boards or whatever it is. I once in a while I'll still run into somebody who is like, oh yeah, I really like that movie, and I'm like, okay, if you say so. I'm more okay with Justice League than most people are, but Batman v Superman, there's so many things I can drive just a truck through the holes that I have issues with, and that after a while I was just like, I can't sit through certain sections of it. And there's aspects of that just mind boggle me. But, you know what? Because here's the thing. some of these people's minds aren't going to change either way. The people who really want this movie are going to go, see, this was great. And the people who sit there and look at it and go, oh my God, they're going to do that. There might be a few people's minds who get changed, but if I was Warner, take their money.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, Snyder says that there's a cut of Justice League. I don't know, to quote Lex Luthor, somewhere in the back of my mind, actually. Maybe it's the only place it exists, but at least where in his mind he knows, he knows what scenes would have been assembled. But when the rewrite happened, and then Whedon came in, so I'm sure there's part of it. Some people can maybe piece together what they want and create their own film, but whatever. At this point, I don't really care.
I don't either. The only reason I brought it up is it's just like every few months now we get this Zack Snyder thing where it comes out, and the only thing I can think of is that there's just enough people. The only thing I can come up with is it keeps his name out there, and the other thing I keep thinking is that, you know, maybe some of these sites, by pushing it, they get reaction from people and they get people to click.
Yeah, they get click. It becomes clickbait.
Yeah, and maybe I'm falling for it a little bit here, in that, you know, here we are talking about it. But and I think the reason I continue to talk about it is I just continue to sit there and go, who are these people? Because I never, like, I look in the comment section sometimes about some of these, just because I want to see if there's somebody who's literally going to sit there and defend this thing, and I don't see them. The only things I see kind of is, well, you know, it's really not his fault because of this is what he was asked to do and how he was asked to do it. That I agree with. They, you know, some of this is Warner's fault, which is they wanted a Justice League movie ASAP, and they were not willing to put in the nearly the time that Disney and Marvel were willing to put in.
Avengers, yes.
For, you know, they weren't willing to go, okay, we're going to make 4 or 5 movies first, and that and I hate to say it, one of the reasons why they don't commit like that is because we've seen what happens when they commit like that and they do it. We saw it with, you know, originally Superman Returns. Okay? It didn't do well. It wasn't a good movie. And all of a sudden they scrapped Superman again. And we didn't see another Superman until Man of Steel. You know, Green Lantern was supposed to be the big reboot. And it was horrible. It was really, really bad. And so as a result, you know, that reset everything.
Yeah, they didn't have enough confidence to put in that many films to create the Justice League film, the same way Avengers did.
Right, and that was part of the issue too. Was, we're gonna start with Green Lantern, and the thought was it'll be a strong enough movie, and we'll prove that it's going to be a great movie and it's going to work, and then that way we can build out these other characters who aren't Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Well, that movie didn't do well. Well, okay, they went straight back to the drawing board rather than sitting there going, well, let's just try again with Flash.
Yeah. And now, not want to interrupt you here, but now they're even saying that Wonder Woman 84 is not a continuation of the Wonder Woman film.
Yeah, I've read bits and pieces on stuff like that. I'm going to wait and see. We haven't seen anything from that yet. I'm going to hold comment on any and all of it, because I don't know. I'm going to stay away from it because just
Wonder Woman was good leading up to the final battle, which was kind of dumb. But now, of course,
final battle sequence part, other than the Steve Trevor sacrifices himself thing, was, I don't know. I'm with you. I'm just like, I guess Steve Trevor's back. How? I don't know.
Yeah, that's how they're explaining this. I don't know.
It's very...
Maybe it's just in a flashback, or they just said, nope, we need some more seats to fill, and Chris Pine's a good-looking dude. Let's bring him back.
Well, he was good in the movie. He was
good.
Really good.
Yeah, I liked him. And
you know, you can't do the Red Skull thing where he got sucked through a wormhole and...
Right, yeah, maybe he was in the Quinjet with the Hulk.
Yeah. Or with the Red Skull.
Yeah, right.
When that thing happened, and then he, you know, now he's just waiting for Thanos to show up.
That's right. Oh, whatever. But
I saw that over the weekend, and it was good to see it again this soon, because I'm like, I'm like, I really need to see this at least once before Endgame.
Oh yeah, that's why
funny,
this is so much fun leading up to this. Now, the week I've got it timed right. Where I get to a week in, I'll be done with the MCU just in time for Endgame. So.
But here's the thing: by the time we release this pod, we are a month. We're a little. We might either be at a month or under a month to Endgame.
Yeah, we were less than a month away as of tomorrow, which is Tuesday.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean,
the tickets are not up for sale yet.
I
got my thumb over the Fandango app, like waiting for my freaking tickets. Because anyway, what else? Speaking of movies, Aquaman comes out. I'll buy the Blu-ray, I guess, because my family wants to see it. Because a lot of family members I have are women, and they want to see Jason Momoa. So and it was good. I liked Aquaman, so I'll see it.
Good. It was good.
I liked the Aquamans, and like you said at the end, some of the final battle with the CG was a little bit crazy, but it wasn't as dumb as Wonder Woman. But the final battle was still good.
That movie was. Didn't you feel like in sections that movie was a little long?
No.
No. Okay.
I like the narrative. I think it moved along nicely.
The only reason I say that is from the conversation we had earlier about when you need a bathroom and when you don't. Because near the end of that movie, I needed a bathroom.
And maybe just seeing so much water isn't inspiring.
Maybe that's it too. That's a thought.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I could tell that there was more time in the movie. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to miss anything. Getting back to bathroom breaks, hopefully they will put an intermission in Endgame. They need to. They need to. In fairness, if you're a movie theater, why wouldn't you do it? Think about this. Why wouldn't you do it? Think about this, which is, okay, you put in the intermission. Yeah. You think there ain't going to be people who maybe won't wait until then to buy stuff?
Yeah, there's some people who might want to get a refill on their drink and maybe get
all that stuff. Yeah, no, I mean...
Patronize the theaters.
Yeah, there's a decent chance that maybe somebody buys... I mean, now in fairness, if you've got like one of the memberships, you get the refills for a couple things for free. But if somebody decides to buy candy or something else, or you get the idea... Yeah, then that's more money.
Avengers Infinity War made $2 billion last year worldwide.
Yep.
And then now this one is going to be 3 hours long.
Yeah.
I say maybe some theaters are going to put in... Do you think some theaters would put in their own intermission?
I don't know how you... That's the real question.
Where do you pause the film and say...
Where would you pause the film?
There will be... I can see an usher maybe or something. There will be a 15-minute intermission. When the house lights go up.
That's the other trick, too, is because you got to be...
See, but that adds another 15 minutes to the running time, and you've got maybe one less screening in that theater.
That's and that's a good point. But at the same time, like I said, the question becomes, you know what? It's really funny. There was talk about an intermission. I've not heard them talk about... I've seen it on the net, and I've seen it on social media. I have not seen anything that anybody said that they're going to do it or anything along those lines. And you may be right. There may not be one. There may not be one. There may be, it's 3 hours. You better figure out where to get your potty break in.
Well, if you do not put in an intermission, you remember that scene in Airplane where all the reporters run into the phone booths and it knocks them over?
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen in the theater bathrooms after Endgame if they don't put it in intermission in. Everyone's going to make a run for those toilets.
Now you're going to have to be strategic. Now it's when do I think this might be the lull period that I might be able to get away with going that I don't miss something?
Oh, if you first screening, you can watch it, and then if you see it a second time, you'll know what parts you can run out and get a bio break.
Right, but the trick is obviously in the first viewing because, here's the thing. You don't know. You don't know. So, you have to kind of play this little game. You almost need to keep your phone on so that you can look at what time it is, so you can judge the timing right. You can sit there and go, it's almost like you need to set a timer. As soon as the movie starts, it's like, okay, this movie is 3 hours and 2 minutes. Okay, I'm going to set the timer right now. And then, like, somewhere, like, in the middle, you're like, okay, what time is, just to make sure you're not within the, like, last half hour, because the last half hour you don't want to miss.
Yeah.
Okay, but somewhere in that frame, you're like, okay, I got to find a time to go to the bathroom.
Oh, and one last thing about DC before you move on. I did buy 2 more expansions for my DC deck building game.
Oh, yeah?
And we tried them out. We didn't, because a friend of mine is finally available on Sunday nights.
Okay.
So starting next month, I'll have a more cohesive game night with my buds.
Uh-huh.
So I tried it out last night, and yeah, it's fun. I like the game mechanics. If you get into it, if you, especially you, with your Teen Titans and all that, I think if you ever happen to want to invest in a deck building game, I think the DC was by Cryptozoic, I think is the company. But it's a DC deck building game, and there is a Teen Titans edition that's available, and it functions by itself. You don't need the base deck.
Right, and it's the cooperative game, right? That's what we're talking about.
Well,
we're not talking about like the collectible.
It is co-op, but you can also, obviously, because once you beat all the bad guys, there's all the cards you get victory points, and whoever has the highest victory points is the winner, too. You can count that, too.
Okay.
So not only can you have good guys beat the bad guys, but you can also see who is the best hero.
Yeah.
And, of course, no more news on Krypton yet. Dang it.
No, not a thing. Oh, the only other thing I will mention is, so I don't know if you, because I know you're not watching a lot of the CW shows, but the last 2 episodes have been where John Cryer has come on as Lex Luthor. And I got to tell you, good stuff.
Does good?
Good stuff.
Okay.
Good stuff. I mean, in fairness, this year so far, of the CW DC shows, to me, Supergirl has been the most solid of them all. As a matter of fact, I think they've put together a pretty solid season. I would recommend that would be the CW show to watch.
Are they still on season 4?
Is it? Maybe it is. Is it season 3 or season 4? I can't remember. They might be on season 4. I can't remember what season number they're on. Yeah, I guess they are on season 4, aren't they? That would be 4. Yeah. Yeah, because and I will admit it's a little on the political side this year. But it's been interesting. At least it's had some teeth versus what. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what's going on in Arrow anymore at times. Although there's some sections that have been interesting, there's a lot of it where I'm just like, okay, come on, man. Flash, I feel like we're doing, and I don't know if this is. I think we haven't talked about this. It sounds like 2 of the bigger stars on Flash are leaving. What's her name? Who plays Killer Frost, and the guy who plays Cisco, who plays Vibe. That both of them are talking about not being here for the next season. That this is their last season. So, I don't know. I'm curious how that works.
Maybe the CW has had a good run. Maybe it's time to... Or do you think there's more stories to be told in CW?
I think there's more stories to be told. I think that in some ways it's time for new shows. Like, Batwoman's going to come out, and I think that that's smart. Because that's been greenlit, and that's going to happen. Yeah, I think Arrow's time is up. I guess Flash is still the most popular, and I get the impression that Supergirl, I don't want to get into the politics of it, but I know that there's some people who are annoyed with Supergirl because there's been a little bit more activism kind of type stuff to it with LGBTQ and all that, and there's some people who've been annoyed by that. And the current storyline, I can see how there are people who, if they're politicked out, they may not be so happy with it. But ironically, I think it's the best season they've done. But I think that's not helped it. And it's funny, to me, one of the things I've talked about, it was funny, I talk about this with John Suntress a bunch of times, Mike, who does the Word Balloon podcast, which is, I think part of it is they have these longer seasons. I would be much more interested in shorter seasons with more different shows, if you know what I mean. I would rather have 13-episode seasons and have more heroes doing different shows than what they're doing now. And I don't know. I get the impression some of these heroes may end up on different shows, and some of these characters might end up on new shows and freshen things up. It would be interesting. I'll give them that.
They've seen that their crossover events are very successful.
Mm-hmm. You know, that would be interesting. It would be interesting to see if you moved some of these characters around a little bit and shifted some things. I get the impression there are rumors that this is the last season of Legends of Tomorrow, which is too bad because it's the funniest of them all. Although this season hasn't been nearly as good as last season. Maybe it's time to do it in a different superhero team show with different heroes or something along those lines. I don't know.
Well, you want the show to end on a high note, not just let it run and run until it's just into the ground.
Yeah. Well, and that's the real question. The real question is, are they going to, because you could keep it where Armel some of these characters from Arrow could come back in the future on other shows as guest stars or certain things, or even some of those characters might be able to move to an entirely different show. But again, the question becomes, will they? I don't know. That's all speculation. We'll have to see where it goes when they do all this stuff. But there's been enough talk about it that's out there that maybe that's coming. We'll see. But they in fairness, Mike, those shows kind of need a shake up. They kind of do, because at first they were great and they were fun, and some of them were really good, and now it's like, okay, we need something different. But I will say this: Flash is the most popular one, and that's the one, in my opinion, that could use the most shaking up. And I don't know that they will. And it's too bad, because they get the characterizations down and they make it work. It's just that sometimes these stories start to become the same thing over and over again for some of these guys, and it's unfortunate. Mm. So, but it's funny. I thought we'd actually get a little bit on the early side tonight, but I guess, in theory, we still got time. It is time, though, isn't it?
Yes, it is that time. I do believe so.
All right. So in that case,
let us begin.
Let us begin. It is that time of times.
Let us. Let us.
I'll let you go ahead and go first, Mike, and see what you got.
Okay, we got a lot of these from our listener, Scott. He's doing the yeoman's work, man. He's like semi-producer status. I mean, he's bringing us so much content.
Yeah.
I don't have enough time. We could do one show on just his stuff that he's submitting.
Like I said, seriously, we should consider him the guest Ivan.
Yeah, he could. Hey, Ivan's off this week. You wanna fill in?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Here's one he brings in. Obviously, these are a lot of from ABC New York. So a California man. Oh yeah, we got to do the Florida man story, man.
Or you want to wait for Ivan next week?
All right, we'll save for next week for the Florida Man Challenge.
I haven't looked at anything with that.
Yes.
Because
I looked mine up.
I haven't looked at any of it because I was waiting because you said you wanted to do it, and I figured we might as well wait for Ivan for that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll wait next week for the Florida Man Challenge. Mm-hmm. And who knows? It's been a week. Who knows? Might have already gone and died. But I did mine. It's hilarious. So anyway. Yeah. We're starting our crazy news. This one out of Santa Rosa, California. When a neighbor complained about his high fence causing a lack of visibility, and after the city wrote a letter telling him it violated a local ordinance, Jason cut that fence down to a maximum of 36 inches, but then he was just trying to keep his dogs in the yard, but now his nosy neighbor really has something to look at. He's got a garden party set up where all his guests are mannequins, and they're all naked. Mm-hmm. And just hanging around his lawn furniture. So
Yeah, I pulled that story too. It's on the page.
Yes, that's on the Squares of the Round Table Facebook page. So
yeah, that was amusing. This is that perfect example of sometimes
ordinance requires drivers to be able to see around a corner. Obviously, this is traffic. This is like to prevent an accident. So this is important stuff. Mm-hmm. This is not just vanity or privacy. This is just to be sure that nobody gets in a car wreck. So, but the owner of the house was upset, so he put a bunch of naked mannequins in his yard.
Yeah, it reminds me of so there was where I used to live when I was a kid. There was a house that you're supposed to have when you have a circular driveway. You're supposed with that like the rounded type thing. You're supposed to have a section in the middle for like some sort of flowers or something like that. And somebody didn't have it, and I don't know who it was, but they complained to the city of Morton Grove. And so instead, what they did is they put in a whole bunch of rocks, and then they put up a statue of a bear with a Polaroid camera. And it said, "Smile, the bear wants to take your picture." So I've seen that stuff before.
Yeah, this dude just did a similar thing here with his garden party with all the mannequins. Yeah. He put a sign on one of the chairs that says, "Reserved seat for the nosy neighbor that complained about my fence to the city," and he has neighbor misspelled.
Yep.
So.
Do you want to do the next one? The next, it's funny. I was going to do that one, but you did it. So do you want to do this next one, or do you want me to one of the ones you did?
You go ahead. I'm playing catch and tossing the ball. It's all you.
This is one actually our friend Mike Boyle suggested. A criminal nicknamed Doo-Doo Butt has been arrested. This is back in January. Anthony Doo-Doo Butt Ward, one of the legendary criminals of our time, was taken down by the coppers. Like those before him, Doo-Doo Butt could only escape the law for so long. What was Doo-Doo Butt's crime? Shooting a man. The Baltimore police investigation showed that shooting came after an accident on the 400 block of Yale Avenue. A man riding a dirt bike hit the victim's vehicle, causing damage. Detectives investigated and determined that Doo-Doo Butt was the shooting suspect. You have this story is because you just want to hear me say the word Doo-Doo Butt a whole bunch of times.
Yes.
Doo-Doo Butt was also wanted on first-degree murder charges, and Doo-Doo Butt has done some stuff. Yep, that's why they call him Doo-Doo Butt. More importantly, how did Doo-Doo Butt get his name? Yes, how is this? For taking a hot steamer on the man and his laws, probably. You see, Doo-Doo Butt poops on social constructs like murder and attempted murder. Doo-Doo Butt lives in the real world where each man is a man on his own. That didn't explain it. Yeah, okay. This gets weird.
Well, the dude murdered, man, so not cool.
This gets weird where they talk about Spartacus like I am Doo-Doo Butt. And here's the question. We've heard names. But that's not one that, how does that one stick? I mean, that's total crap.
It's total doo-doo is what it is.
Yep. Well, shit happens, I guess. So let's move to something a little less crappy. Men find magic fridge full of ice-cold beer in flooded Nebraska. Kyle Simpson and Galen Stouffer, not the guy who makes the mac and cheese or the cream spinach, were cleaning up the devastating floods in Nebraska when they spotted a small black box in the distance. It just sat there in dark contrast with the wet, muddy field. Curious, they walked over to the box, untangled it from the soggy brush, and realized it was a fridge. When they opened it, they found a stack of Busch Light beer. Wait a minute. That's not really beer.
It's light beer.
It's light beer and it's Busch. I mean, there are worse, but no, not really. Not okay.
It's not as bad as Bud Light. It's
like, hey, I found a candy bar. Oh, it's well, no, not Payday. What's bad? What's a bad candy? I like Charleston Chew. like, or something like Good and Plenty or something like that. You're like, really? This? So it's like when you want M&Ms and you find Skittles. That doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm not big on Skittles.
Yeah. You know what people have done? I know people who have mixed Skittles with M&Ms.
Ooh. Oh.
Yeah.
Heresy.
Talk about a handful of that, and then it's like you get the wrong thing that you didn't expect. God, people are sick. Y'all sick. And you do it to people usually at parties where they're drunk, and they're like, whoa, what was that? Okay. Anyway, but like I said, so apparently they found that they were ice cold in this refrigerator, and the fridge did go back to the owner, minus some beers.
Well, when you're out in the middle of the field in the middle of Nebraska, you'll take what you can get.
Yeah, the problem is, to me, is if you're going to do that, I wouldn't put it on social media that that's what you did. That's just me. That's just me. That'd be me. Because, you know, when you sit there and go, well, no, we just found it that way. Yeah, I'm sure you did after you took it out of the fridge, like I saw on your Twitter account. What else you got? Now you got stuff from Scott.
Oh, I've got lots of little stories here from Scott. Here's one. Now that's the strange story. That's a strange, unexplained phenomena. Here's some explained phenomena. Science. Progress. Scientists have discovered how to make bricks out of human waste. In the search for more sustainable building materials, scientists have discovered a way to transform human waste into bricks that can be used for building. However, human feces only accounts for about 25% of the material in the bricks. The remaining 75% is made out of traditional clay. It's not like we have like a clay shortage where we need to incorporate shit into our buildings. But I guess it cuts down on biosolid material to landfills.
What do they do about the smell?
So it's environmentally safe to add shit to your buildings, I guess. But in study, prototypes of these bricks were made and tested to compare with traditional building materials. The tests found that the bricks were sturdy and would hold up to the most stringent global building regulations. And the creation of the bricks also uses less energy than traditional building materials, and they are better for the installation as well. Adding this extra material would also cut down on the amount of clay and sand that they use for building, because we're going to run out of sand, aren't we? Aren't we? No.
I don't think so.
I think the planet is covered in sand.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, it's supposedly
for
these countries that have, like, human waste, like, like waste extraction and all that. I can see how some countries this would be beneficial, but we have plenty of clay and sand here on Earth.
You know, here's the deal. At least I'd be able to sit there and say, you know, my house is a shitty house.
25% shitty.
Oh, 25% shitty. Sorry.
So it's not a total shithole.
Yeah, it's not a total shithole.
This place is a shithole. 25%.
No, only 25%.
Yeah.
Only 25%. I have a guess as to why it's only 25%. My guess is that it wouldn't hold consistency, and then you'd be covered in shit.
Right.
Because, you know, shit happens.
Yes, it does. And now shit, you talk about, this is, you can shit bricks, but don't use those. You just use the 25% shit bricks.
Do you realize how much money I could make on poop?
Sell your shit to make bricks?
Yeah. Although
you
know that there's some farmers that are sitting there going, I got new ways to make money off of Betsy. She poops like no business.
So there you go.
Yeah.
The more you know. Science. Progress.
Science!
Yes, like we thought we'd have, I posted a picture on my Facebook page how 35 years ago, we thought we were all going to have flying cars. And instead we have a fork with a pizza cutter wheel built into the middle of the fork. It's the pizza fork. Like, this is what we've come to.
In fairness, I've thought about that recently. Do we really want the people who we see on a daily basis to have flying cars?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes. I want flying cars.
Have you seen these other people drive?
Oh, yeah.
This is a bad idea.
Maybe if you get an advanced license or something.
Yeah, eventually people would complain that everyone should be able to get one. And get the
better drivers up there, and then all the shit drivers who are more than 25% shit, let them drive on the ground.
The problem is it'll be expensive. So usually you get the assholes who have a lot of money, and they'll all be up there because they don't believe in lanes. So it won't matter. It'll be bad. Then you'll be safer on the ground. Maybe this is the plan. Maybe all the idiots will be up there, and then we'll be safer because we'll be on the ground.
I just want my jetpack to get to work.
Do you?
Yeah, I would rather use a jetpack.
Well, why don't we just get
the Rocketeer, man? I just land on the roof.
I'm thinking the Iron Man suit's a little better because I think you can poop in that.
Well, I think it was an Iron Man 2 where he proved the theory as to what, people say, how do I go to the bathroom in the suit? And he just stands there for 30 seconds and he smiles.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's our shit story.
Speaking of that leads us right to our next story. Police say drunk passenger urinated on luggage during flight from Chicago to Charlotte. We're having a theme.
Really, yeah, there's quite the theme here.
Yeah, there's quite the theme going on today. Police say a drunk passenger urinated on another passenger's luggage during the flight from Chicago to Charlotte. They asked law enforcement to meet the flight 1344 once it arrived in Charlotte at 12:52 a.m. local time. A police spokesman said the victim was a female passenger. The report did not say whether any charges would be filed against the drunk passenger. A spokesperson for the Charlotte office of the FBI, this got to the FBI, told the Charlotte Observer on Saturday that the FBI was notified of the report on Friday and that they investigate. You gotta be kidding me. The FBI was sent to investigate some guy who peed, another passenger who peed on somebody else's luggage. You know the worst part is? They don't tell us why. Nothing about why or what happened. Nope, none of that. But somebody peed on their luggage. Great.
And the FBI had to be involved.
Yup.
How'd you like to be the guy who was sitting at his desk at the FBI saying, "Oh, we need to go on the field. Yay, a field mission." Oh yeah, what's it about?
How would you like to have been the cops?
Yeah.
At 1 a.m. local time.
Well, we've got to call the FBI. Really?
Yeah, really. If somebody's like, you got to call the FBI. I got to go back to donuts.
Yeah.
Okay, what else you got, Mike?
Okay, well, so long as we're on the issue of flights, let's go from human waste to flighting, and flying. Flighting and flying. Man boards flight naked because clothes make him less aerodynamic. Some people prefer to travel light, but one man took it a little too far this week. A 38-year-old took off all of his clothes before boarding a Ural Airlines flight to Moscow's, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that airport. Video taken by other passengers shows the man patiently waiting in line to board as if there's nothing attracting attention to him. Once he got towards the front of the line, he ran into the jetway but was stopped by airport staff and held until the police showed up. According to witnesses, the guy shouted that he was naked because clothing impairs the aerodynamics of the body. It's not like he's going to be outside the plane. He also yelled that he flies with more agility when undressed. The flight continued to board while the man sat handcuffed and naked on the jetway. Passengers walking by him continued to film the bizarre scene. Onlookers say the man didn't show any signs of being drunk. Meanwhile, a press release from Russia's Interior Ministry explained that the man was taken to the airport's medical room and then hospitalized in a medical facility. So, yeah, he was obviously just a little nuts. Yeah. So, trying to get on a plane naked because he claims it was just being more aerodynamic.
Mm-hmm. And more agile.
Okay, yeah, so Don't get on a plane naked, you dumbass.
At least he didn't urinate on the luggage.
Yeah, he wasn't carrying any shit bricks either.
Yeah, no. Well, he was. He just didn't deposit any.
No. Thank goodness.
Thank God. A South Carolina school bus driver avoids squirrels, crashes into house. Which one of our listeners promptly put up the Geico commercial of the two squirrels that have the squirrel go knock where the car goes off, and the two of them were like giving each other high fives. A group of high school students went on a little different school bus ride than the Spartanburg Fire Department. As 6 high school students were on the way to class on Friday morning, their bus driver swerved off the road, smacking the bus into a tree. It ran through a yard, bumped into a house, according to the fire department. But why? Because she tried to avoid hitting 2 squirrels that ran into the road. Unfortunately, she overcorrected and lost control of the bus. Police cited the driver with failure to exercise due care. But the squirrels are safe.
Thank goodness.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. There was minor damage done to the squirrel's house, the tree. The squirrels were not reported as having emotional or physical injuries. There we go. There was only minor damage to the house, apparently. Smashed into a shutter, and the bus suffered a broken window and a dent to its top. But hey, the squirrels are safe.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. This is why, okay. I feel like I'm going to go on more rants than funny, which is, this is why we have problems with America. Like, I was just, like, the thing with the panther or the jaguar where the woman wanted to take a selfie, and then, like, I'm watching things on Facebook where there's these, like, people and they're playing with lions like they're freaking pets. And it's like, this is why people think they can do this shit.
They're wild creatures.
They're
feral. They will kill you.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? No. It's like these people either have worked with these animals for a lifetime or stuff like that. No. And people are like, oh, it's cute. I understand, but we have dumb people who sit there and go, oh, well, I can take a selfie. It won't be a problem. Oh, my God. Okay, what do you got, Mike?
Here's a stupid person news article that ends, stupid because the guy was stupid. An Indiana homeowner returned to his home this week to find that an intruder had tried to steal his 900-pound safe and become trapped underneath it. George Hollingsworth of Marion, Indiana, told police he was inspecting his home. He's about 70 miles north of Indianapolis when he made the grisly discovery.
That's not far from Indy.
No. Hollingsworth said he discovered the door to his garage had been busted open. When he went inside the cluttered garage, he discovered that his family's 900-pound antique safe had been lifted by a floor jack and then knocked over, crushing the would-be burglar. Hollingsworth began clearing the clutter in his garage to see if items had been stolen. Upon cleaning, he found that his antique floor safe, weighing over 900 pounds, was knocked over. And upon further inspection, Mr. Hollingsworth found a body lying underneath the safe. So the Marlin Fire Department was called in to help lift the safe and remove the body. The dead man was identified. An autopsy will be performed by the Northeast Indiana Forensic Center, the department added. So there you go. You do stupid things, you win stupid prizes.
900
pounds.
See what the scary part is? This guy had to have planned.
Yeah.
This guy had to have planned. Think about this one for a minute, Mike. Because why would you have a jack like that? That means he thought this through and thought this would work.
Maybe he thought he was trying to get wheels under it so he could move it. Maybe. Who knows?
Right. So we're not talking about just that it was stupid. We're talking about that this person actually put thought into this plan that wasn't going to work.
Obviously premeditated because the dude broke into his garage.
Right. Well, let me take it a step further. At no point did you think, hey, you know what? It might be a good idea to have somebody else here in case, God forbid, something wacky happens. You know why? Greed.
Yeah, well, yeah, when you get a second person involved, then you got to split the goods.
Yeah. Yeah.
He didn't want to. He thought he could do it himself. Oh, yeah, 900 pounds.
Yeah.
It's only 4 to 5 times more heavier than myself. I think I'll try and lift it myself. I can handle this.
Even Arnold can't do that.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know why I'm putting this in wacky news, but actually, I take it back. I know why I had this story. The story was more because I figured Ivan would be here, and this would spark crazy conversation.
Yes, we missed Ivan's laugh track.
Well, it's not just a laugh track. This one I think would have been interesting. Although I think Ivan would have been like, no, I wouldn't do it. Well, you'll see in a second. So Mel B, a.k.a. Scary Spice, claims that she slept with Jerry Harwell during the Spice Girls era.
Okay, interesting.
And this has come out recently, apparently. She mentions that apparently she was taping on Piers Morgan's show for Life Stories, and she mentioned that she once had a sexual encounter with her, and I guess this was something that was on one of the British shows. It's funny. The quote from Mel B is, she nodded and smiled and said, she's going to hate me for this because she's all posh in her country house and her husband, but it's a fact. It just happened, and we giggled at it, and that was it. It was just once, and hopefully Jerry when gets asked about it, which hopefully she will after this, she won't deny it because it was a fun thing. This all goes back to the questions back in the day about the Spice Girls, about, there was always those conversations about which Spice Girl, or is it all of the Spice Girls, or do you think they do anything together, if you know what I mean? Because that whole song about if you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends. Yeah.
There was innuendo.
Yeah. This is where Ivan would have been interesting because he would have been like, I don't know if he would have had a choice for what Spice Girl, or he'd have played it off and been like, no, I'd never do a Spice Girl, blah, 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 because, the sanctity of music, you know what I mean?
Sporty.
Sporty?
Mine was sporty.
Yeah, I'm probably going, I might go the same direction with you, is for sporty. I was not really a posh. Baby was not my thing.
No, not baby.
No. And Jerry Harwell I like, but not my style. And Mel B, well, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those where it's like, see, this is what I'm talking about. I wouldn't pick one. I'd be like, I at least have to have, see, this is going to make me sound like a misogynist thing, but this is a guy conversation, which is, it's no different than, if you were talking about Magic Mike, do you want just Magic Mike or do you want all of them? Well, most women would be like, yeah, I'll take them all. For me, Spice Girls, yeah, I want them all. I want them all. I don't know what.
Well, it's scientifically proven that a guy will bed. He would rather. Most guys would rather bed 10 different women once than do one girl 10 times.
Well, it's the bragging rights too, because it's like, yeah, I was with the Spice Girls. Oh yeah, which one? All of them. All of them. It's like trade. I hate to say it this way. When you're a guy at that age, your reaction is it's kind of like trading cards. Oh God. Then send your postcards to Squares with the Round Table. His name is Jeff Stott now. You got anything else from Scott, or do you want to hold?
I've got one more here. I think we did touch upon the naked plane. The guy tried to get on a plane naked. Mm-hmm. Well, here's a plane. Everyone was. They were going there. The flight on... When's this dated? This was dated today. A British Airways plane lands in Scotland, not Germany. The flight on Monday seemed to go perfectly well until passengers realized that their plane had landed in both the wrong city and the wrong country.
Nice.
British Airways flight from London City Airport was supposed to head to Dusseldorf, Germany, but ended up in Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland. The airline said Monday the problem started when an incorrect flight plan was filed, which operated the flight on behalf of British Airways. Officials say the pilot followed the flight plan for Edinburgh and that air traffic control officials also were following the same flight plan and saw nothing amiss. Aviation said it was trying to determine the cause of the obviously unfortunate mix-up. The flight was refueled and set off again, this time directly to Dusseldorf. We're in the wrong country! Don't!
Fly in the wrong country.
I wonder...
Here's the real question. You were flying from where? From Britain to Scotland?
From London to Germany.
Right, and they ended up going where?
To Scotland.
You know, maybe it's just me. How many miles do you think it takes to get to Scotland?
Not very far. I mean, Europe is... There's a lot of small countries in there.
Well, I mean, it's on the same freaking island. I mean, at no point did the pilot sit there and go, you know, why are we landing in Germany in about 30 minutes? Yeah.
But, yeah, Germany is not that much... They're about equidistant. Dusseldorf is maybe just a little bit further away.
Is it really? Wow, I didn't realize
because
that. Because
Edinburgh is just, like, north in the UK.
Okay.
From London. So,
okay.
It's a little bit further to Dusseldorf.
Really?
But instead instead of going east-southeast, you went, like, northwest.
Where's the rest of the crew to sit there and go, hey, you didn't cross the channel?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Like, wait, we didn't go over water.
Yeah. Well, they might have gone over water, but they didn't cross the channel.
Well, there's not a lot of water, though. I mean, you're taking off from London, you're over land the whole time. And the English Channel's only like a few miles, not even like 50 miles between London and France.
Yeah, you still got to pass over.
You got a little bit of water, yes.
Yeah, at some point, somebody who's in the cockpit has to be sitting there going, you know, didn't pass over the English Channel. I mean, that's kind of like an obvious landmark.
Yeah, kind of obvious.
Kind of obvious. Yeah, that one, yeah.
So.
All right, and finally, because see, this is a bad idea, but I'm going to do this one. This is not actually on our page. This is on my personal page.
Oh, he's going off script, folks.
Because I'm tired of this. You know, all the people talk about global warming and all these things as to why we're going to die. No, that's not why we're going to die. We're going to die because we're going to develop something that we should never develop because we're stupid. Okay? And when I say that, and it's funny, I have friends of mine who are like, Jeff, you don't call anybody stupid. These people are stupid. I understand you want to learn technology and there's things you want to be able to do, but here's the deal. Scientists are now creating a Terminator-like liquid metal developed.
Uh-oh.
Why? What are you doing? Just like, did you see the one the other day where apparently now they think they can create dinosaurs? Did you not watch Jurassic Park? Like, somebody looks at the Matrix and goes, you know what? That's a great idea. We should do that. No! Why are
some people would argue that we are living in the Matrix.
Yeah, there's some people that could claim that. But
you look at the popular news stories and the celebrities that we pay attention to.
But it's like people are going out of their way to it's bad when even Elon Musk is like, stop.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh no, what's the big deal? You sound like every dumb white person in Orville. What could possibly happen? There's nothing here. Jeez.
Skynet approves this article.
We are.
We're doomed. That's like what Ultron says before Vision kills him. They're doomed. We're doomed.
We're so doomed. He's not wrong. We're going to create something. We really are going to create some sort of intelligent life through an AI that
the Cylons are going to kill us.
Yeah, and then they're going to get a hold of all those plans for, like, the dinos, and then they're going to have, like, cyber-mechanized dinos and stuff. And it's just going to be...
Either that or we'll just be ill-prepared for an asteroid strike, and we'll be too busy taking selfies.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. We have a plan for that. There's an entire movie that we don't even know if the science works. But, hey,
send Bruce Willis.
We'll give it a shot. Because at that point, Steven Tyler's going to sing the theme, so we're all good. We're all good. It's going to be great. You should be fine. Oh, God. I cannot believe it. It's just like... It's just like never... I don't get it. I just... Okay, I gotta stop. Mike, if people want to give us stories that are actually funny for once and not about crap and all kinds of weird things, how can they do that or be a part of it?
Stories about the liquid metal, blah.
Yeah.
We're on Facebook at Squares the Round Table. You can find us there. That's where we post these crazy articles and stuff. Shout out to Scott. Thanks for bringing these articles to our attention. We appreciate it. Just way too many to bring. We got to pick the really good ones. They're awesome, though. We appreciate it. We were on Twitter and Instagram at SOTRT Podcast. Send us an email if you like. That's SOTRT Podcast at gmail.com. Thanks for listening on YouTube. Click the bell, subscribe. You'll know when you get notifications for new episodes. They usually drop on Wednesdays. Usually about every Wednesday. And, of course, we're on PodBean. Download the free app, and you get episodes for free. We like free stuff. You like free stuff? I love free stuff. So we appreciate you listening here. This is episode 44, and hopefully Ivan will be back next week, and we're going to have lots more fun adventures next time.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jeff Stein, Mike Boyle. Have a great week, everybody, and thanks again for joining us on Squares of the Round Table Podcast.